before we get into the experience of artificial intelligence, let's try and understand what is artificial intelligence. Can I request some of you to participate here and share their perspective, their understanding of artificial intelligence? What do you exactly mean by artificial intelligence as per your views? Anybody? I would request people to unmute themselves and answer one by
Um,
one. Yeah.
are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I believe that artificial intelligence is to make decision making up to machines, like is to allow machines to be able to take decisions instead of humans based on data,
Okay.
database decision making.
That's okay. Thanks, Mohammed, for answering that. I think Musab wants to speak. So go ahead, Musab.
Yeah, of, as of what I know of artificial intelligence, I think it's the ability of a computer to think and make decisions from the data it's provided with.
Okay, absolutely right. However, let's refine it as we study. And I have one more hand which is raised by Zayan. Let's hear Zayan.
So artificial intelligence, it's like it could be a program, it could be an entire system where the computer tests something and then it learns from its mistakes. And then from that process, it can develop its own thinking. And by not repeating its own mistakes, it can like eventually lead to the solution without needing help from a person.
Okay, thanks, Zayan. I have Akil. Okay, Akil, yes.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead, Akil.
think it. I think it's when we give the ability to system to reply to things that they never saw before, to problems that they never saw before. So they learn and they answer to things that they never saw on tests.
Right. Perfect. Thanks, Akil. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for participating in this. Let me take you through it now. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, we will talk about two important aspects. One, certainly the concept, and second, what are the different components when it comes to artificial intelligence or which supports artificial intelligence, like different services, different cloud. And here we will talk about two types of clouds. One is Microsoft Azure, and second is Amazon Web Services. Because AI is something which can be achieved by different services, different virtue of services. And with these two prominent cloud partners, we will try and experience it during our this particular session. So when we talk about artificial intelligence as a topic, we need to be sure that we talk about what is to be defined, because in simple terms, as most of you correctly said, that AI is something which will take input as some data and think and give an experience or take decisions instead of humans. Now, what we need to work out is the creation of software which imitates human behavior and capabilities. And that's where artificial intelligence plays an important role. We need to think and define what is to be done. We need to take decisions based on data and past experience. We need to recognize abnormal events. We need to interpret the visual inputs. We need to understand the voice, the spoken languages, and we need to engage in dialogues and conversations. These are the primary capabilities with which we want to evolve our AI products. When I say AI products, it certainly means softwares. It certainly is a fantastic opportunity for us to create machines which will think like humans. That's artificial intelligence. We are artificially making somebody intelligent, and that somebody is nothing but machine in this case. There are plenty of technologies, from programming to administration to performance management to infrastructure, which are involved into the AI projects. We will talk about each one of them during this course. The common workloads where artificial intelligence will play an important role includes machine learning, anomaly detection, computer vision, natural language processing, and conversational AI. We will certainly talk about each one of it in detail, but for now, if we have to understand the workload, let us evaluate it with few examples, like machine learning, which is often the foundation for an AI system, is the way we teach a computer model to make predictions and draw conclusions from the data. Second is the anomaly detection, which increases the capability to automatically detect the errors or unusual activities in the system. Third is the computer vision, which is ability of a software to interpret the world visually through cameras, videos, and images. Next is natural language processing, which is the most important capability for a computer to interpret written or spoken language and respond in kind. And then, last but not least, is conversational AI, which is capability of software agent to participate in a conversation, which is generally termed as bots. These are 5 fundamental workloads, activities, which are performed in AI project, in any organization for that matter. And these projects will play an important role in different businesses with different structures. Is that clear? Any questions on this? If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Guys, let's make this session interactive.
All clear now.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the response.
Sir,
Yes,
I have a
Mohammed.
question.
Yes, Mohammed, go ahead.
It's a little out of the context question, but I'm pretty sure that you can answer it perfectly, and that's why I'm asking you. Considering you an expert, and taking your previous session on using AI with games, I wanted to ask you, sir, how we can translate, or let's talk about AI, how we can transfer the learning that we are getting from understanding user behavior in the games to real world applications like finance, stocks, money markets, like how people take decisions, what are their decision making behavior in games, how we can use that learning, how we can transfer that learning into real world applications, and do you think that it is possible and will benefit entrepreneurs?
That's a very good question, Mohammed. Thank you for asking it. And I'm happy to answer that. It is not only about games. Today, every industry, from finance to retail to manufacturing to governments, everybody is using analytics, AI, to take and opt the decisions. And there are different products around it. There are different dashboards, there are different structures. and there are different case studies and theses around it. So it is certainly being used in real-time industries in addition to the gaming environment, because data analytics plays a very important and major role for every industry to grow and boost. Probably towards the end of the session, we will talk about few of the important techniques which will align this analytics with artificial intelligence. I would request you to be patient till then. And then we can, whenever we do a Q&A, we can again come back to this question. I hope it was answered up to your expectation. Thank you for asking.
Indeed, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for answering.
That's good. So we all now know what are the 5 different common workloads. Now, before we proceed further, let me also try and give you an exposure to 2 important concepts. One is AGI and second is ANI. ANI is artificial narrow intelligence and AGI is artificial general intelligence. ANI, which is artificial narrow intelligence, is more consumer centric, like Alexa, iPhone series, self-driven cars, drones, all is the progress in ANI, which is artificial narrow intelligence. AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, is a type of AI which is progressing slowly, but it basically talks about human emotions, human neural responses. However, we have done a great progress, but it is a bit slow. Whereas ANI, where consumer behavior plays a major role, we have done a lot of progress in the industry, and you all have already started experiencing this. And all of these products, if you see, are around these 5 common workloads which we are discussing. And that's how I would request you to relate the complete learning with these different aspects which are going around ANI, which are the fundamental workloads. Now, moving forward to the next concept of, okay, I can see a hand raised. Amar, do you want to ask any question before I move to the next topic? Yes, Amma, you can unmute and speak, or you want me to? Okay, I'll unmute. You can speak up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Amma, I can.
Okay, I just want to ask you about usually computer vision is associated with the neural networks and deep learning, such as object recognition applications and others. So can we consider purely computer vision without deep learning techniques a branch of artificial intelligence or not?
There are plenty of services which are pre-created as templates, which can be used for computer vision without deep learning.
Okay, thank you.
And you can use them. Thanks, Aman.
Okay.
Mariam?
Yes, again, thank you for allowing me to ask this question. Seeing the 5 type of workflows, and then you mentioned that machine learning is basically the foundation of AI in terms of building the models that will process the data and provide the cognitive conclusion that we need. Am I right to assume that the 4 other workloads depend on machine learning as well?
Yes, Mariam. So what happens is, we have artificial intelligence, which encapsulates machine learning. We have machine learning, which encapsulates deep learning. And all of this further encapsulates the data science algorithms. So it is important that to achieve the larger objective, we have to go through all fundamentals of data, data engineering, data analytics, and then using those algorithms in machine learning, deep learning, and then inventing AI. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Answers perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. So let's move to the next topic of understanding fundamentals of different types of services which we can consume with Microsoft. So guys, what happens is, as I was sharing earlier also, when we talk about AI project as a whole or AI application as a whole, there are three important expertise which are needed, which are important. One is certainly expertise around data. Second, which is expertise around domain, like gaming, finance, banking, insurance, etc. And third is the expertise around technology. Now, technology is further divided into two important aspects. One is development, and second is administration, infrastructure services. Whatever application you give, you develop, it has to be implemented and deployed on an infrastructure like servers. Here today, to save the costs and to have higher efficiency, most of the organizations have moved to clouds. Now, cloud is nothing but a virtual server which provides a lot of bandwidth to users like us. They give us an authority to use data storage, to compute, which is execution of your services, and use the services. This cloud services, in specific Microsoft Azure in our example, have predefined machine learning service called Azure Machine Learning Service, which helps you to train, deploy, and manage machine learning model. We have cognitive services, which is a suite of services which developers can use to build AI solutions, where you can use Python, you can use R, you can use .NET, you can use JavaScript, you can use any of your programming language or IDE for that matter. And then third important service in this segment is the Azure Bot Services, which is a cloud-based platform to develop conversational AI. So this complete activity on cloud will play an important role when we plan and define the important aspects of what type of services are we using. And this will be an important factor for all of us to understand and define the activities around artificial intelligence for our customers. Is that clear, guys? Any questions on cloud services? I can see hand from Mariam. Yes, Mariam, go ahead.
Sorry,
Please.
that was the mistake. I
Okay. So I just spoke about a few of the cloud services which can be automatically used for us to gain experience of what we are trying to achieve in this segment. I could see a few discussion on the chat. Is Microsoft Azure free? The cloud services for you to explore are free for first year in the basic or free tier. There are different tiers. As your consumption, if it increases to production with the limits, then it starts charging your credit or debit card. But for practice and for learning, free tier is sufficient for you to explore and create your account on. I could see Ahmed. Any questions? Ahmed, you go ahead.
Yes, Doctor. I want to ask, what is the cloud services and what use for?
So cloud service is nothing but a virtual data center which we will be using for our AI workload. Our AI workload could be an application, could be an algorithm, could be a predefined service for that matter. So cloud services are nothing but virtual data centers which can be used based on the requirement, based on the need, without investing heavily on the servers, on the hardware.
Okay, thank you. It is what different between cloud services and, for example, databases like Oracle or MySQL database?
Okay, database is a product to store the data. Cloud services, you can have servers, you can have operating systems, you can have infrastructure, you can have virtual machines, you can have memories and applications which are deployed. So databases are completely different, which are responsible to interact and save data. But in cloud services is a vertical, is a combination of compute, engine, processes, server, RAM, and everything.
Okay, thank you very much.
That was a very valid question, Ahmed. Thank you. Umair has asked a good question on the chat. Is AI hardware resource intensive or it varies from case to case? As you rightly said, Umair, it varies from case to case because there is a lot of machine or learning which needs to be done by the data which gets pre-processed. So it is not, I would not say that it is hardware intensive, but based on the services and volume of data which we are trying to work out and train on, it will vary. Perfect. Thank you for asking all the questions. Moving to the next and the most important topic, which is responsible, ethical artificial intelligence. Because with the kind of technologies and techniques we are using and having an eye on with artificial intelligence, we will play an important role in defining what is the responsibility. Before getting into the responsibility, let's try and understand what could be the challenges and risks with artificial intelligence. Because artificial intelligence is a powerful tool that can be used to greatly benefit the world. However, like any tool, it must be used responsibly. As you can see, bias can affect the results. Biasness with your data in your application will certainly affect the results. Like in financial industry, a loan approval model discriminates by gender due to the bias in data with which it was trained. Right? There's no human. Second challenge or risk could be errors which may cause harm, which is an autonomous vehicle experiences a system failure and causes in collision. Data could be exposed, like a medical diagnostics is trained using sensitive patient data which is stored insecurely. And others, like solutions may not work for everyone. We need customization of the solutions. We will have users which should trust the complex system, who is liable for AI-driven decisions, and all the factors. So what we actually have to do is, while designing our AI solution, we need to have principles of responsible artificial intelligence, which starts with fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, transparency, and accountability. Now, when we talk about these principles, these are the fundamental software development aligned with artificial intelligence principles, which are designed to ensure that AI applications provide amazing solutions to difficult problems without any unintended negative consequences. If I talk about fairness for that matter, AI systems should treat all people fairly. For example, suppose you create a machine learning model to support a loan approval application for a bank. The model should make predictions of whether or not the loan should be approved without incorporating any bias based on gender, ethnicity, or other factors that might result in unfair advantage or disadvantage to specific groups. Azure machine learning includes the capability to interpret models and quantify it to the extent to which each feature of data influences the model's prediction. And this capability helps data scientists to identify and mitigate these biases. Now, when we talk about reliability and safety, we need to consider an AI-based software system for autonomous vehicle or a machine learning model that diagnoses patients' symptoms and recommends different prescriptions. Unreliability in these kind of systems can result in substantial risk. And same applies with privacy, security, inclusiveness, and all other factors. So if you see in this, you can start with a Azure free trial, which has $200 credit for you to explore and 12 months of services free of cost, which are free services. And there are many services here. If you see, there are different types of services which can be explored. This is a web-based server which you have for you guys to access, to explore on the more services. These are the different types of services. If you talk about compute, these are the different compute services, from virtual machines to app services, to service fabrics, to disks and whatnot. If you talk about networking, there are CDN, load balancers. If you talk about storage, which is a database, there are different storage accounts and different database services. If you talk about web, there are different web services. If you talk about mobile, there are different mobile services. If you talk about databases specific, there are different database services altogether. If you talk about AI and machine learning, these are the different services which are available, from bot services, Synapse Analytics, cognitive services, face APIs, Q&A makers are the few of them which are frequently used, which are frequently utilized. Now, I have logged in with my email address. However, as I said, you might have to create, if you already have a Microsoft account, you can use it. If you don't have a Microsoft account, you create any Gmail account through which you can explore this. So this is an overview of Microsoft Azure services and different types of services which we can create on. How to use it, probably going forward, we will explore that. Second cloud which we spoke about was AWS. These are the different AWS management console, like we had the Azure portal. So if you explore the services, these are the compute services, containers, storage services, databases, migration, networking, developer tools, then probably media services, security, IoT services, end user computing, business applications, analytics, management and governance, application integration, AR and VR, quantum, satellite, blockchain, robotics, front-end and mobile, AWS, machine learning, AI, and customer enablement. And from here, you can select the service. Let's say if I select AWS SageMaker, which is one of the most important machine learning service, it will take you through that service and different features available in that service, and also train you on what is required and what is not. This is also a free account which you can create. All the free services are free of cost for a period of 1 year. Post that, you will have to pay based on your consumption. So this is the way with which we will explore two different cloud services and learn and explore about it in your learning process. So we will start with the fundamentals before we get into the Q&A now on the topics. We know that companies around the world are using AI to build apps, to automate complex tasks, and to derive new knowledge from large sets of business data. Whether it's using computer vision to improve safety, or personalizing content for users, or offering customers more options to interact, or machine learning or artificial intelligence, both of them which are driving technologies and businesses in the new ways. All of this is something which will allow us to explore and discuss different aspects of where we can apply the artificial intelligence. It's not only about tools and technologies, it is about where it could be applied, how it can be used, and what can we achieve. As an individual, today's homework for all of you is to identify 5 areas based on your experience, based on your knowledge, based on your domain. Think of 5 different scenarios in which you would like to apply artificial intelligence. Think about 5 topics, and we will have a discussion on it tomorrow. Think about 5 different areas where you would want artificial intelligence to get applied, to be used as your perspective. Is that clear? Any questions? So conceptually, our agenda for today is over. Our demonstration is over. I request you all to ask questions so that we can start the Q&A.
Dr. Amit, there is a question in the chat. I think we'll start with the chat, and then anyone else who has a question, please raise your hand using the reaction button in the bottom. So the question is, how far is theory of mind currently used in AI?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Yes, there is a lot of research with the help of NLP happening with theory of mind. However, the success rate is very less as of now. So scientists are certainly trying very hard to use that. There has been a success, a recent success, that with the help of NLP algorithms, scientists were able to generate reactions or emotions in the machine. So if you are smiling, you're happy. The emotion of happiness, the emotion of love is something which is successful as of now. And there is still a lot of work going on in that particular segment.
And I can assure you that there are some entities in the UAE using that to read and understand their customers. So we've seen it in action, actually, and people are actually using it. And we hope that one of you guys will be the future scientists that will take this even further. Any more questions you have for Dr. Amit? Someone is asking in the chat if there is an exam by the end of this session. or this
No.
camp? No exam. You are not going to be tested. But we hope that the knowledge sinks in with everyone.
I have a question, please.
Yes. Ibrahim, go ahead. Yeah.
Doctor, regarding the principles you just went through.
Ibrahim, I cannot hear you clearly.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Better.
Okay. Regarding the principles we went through through Microsoft site, how far let's say the nations, like the big players or the organization parties like United Nations or the other any concerned parties have come to a reach to a level to govern this development of AI so it doesn't become harmful for humanity. Has they reached any good level so far?
Yes, Ibrahim, there are governance policies created on these cloud services. So all the large organizations and governments who have adopted AI, they have governance practices around ISACA and information security, which are being in place to make sure artificial intelligence is used ethically.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question from Ahmed.
Yes, I want to ask about Microsoft Azure. It is cross-platform or not?
It is.
It is. So we can access it from Linux and
Yes.
mobile phone and something like that, yeah?
Yes, you can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. There are questions again in the chat, but I prefer that you ask them yourself. So if you can use the reaction button, raise your hand and you'll get a chance to ask Dr. Amit yourself. Advitya, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I had a question actually is related to game tech in AI as well. Could I ask it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So my question was like when creating any game or any app, let's say, the economy of the app is like one of the most important things, and many times there's bugs and glitches which people can use in real time to exploit these resources. In that case, in the user interface, we see an increase in the number of items, let's say A, but in the back server, there's no transactions being held in the code of the system. So like how does the game register these new items being generated randomly?
So there are logs, Advitya, there are logs created. There are different segments and different filters of logs. For every action which happens within the resources, there is a specified log and monitoring system which is aligned to it, which gives us the information on what's happening on all three aspects, which is front end, back end, and integration layer.
But won't this cause the game to crash? As in, like one of the most important code sequences is being violated in this case.
No, these are two different services which will be hosted. That's why crashing and the performance aspects will monitoring them will not hamper the performance of your games.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
A question in the chat. Do you believe that a time will come where machines fed so much information will result in them being less dependent on human information or data?
No, because at the moment, when that particular time or scenario comes, the way AI reacts will change. So it's up to humans on what technology and how you want to train machines. And it will always be like that. But yes, we need to upskill as a human. If we don't learn new technologies, probably we will be left back.
So someone is asking, will Udacity be a good platform for learning AI?
It's a very fundamental platform. If you actually want to practice and learn more, I would not recommend Udacity.
Okay, we have a question from Mahmoud.
Hello, good afternoon all.
Good afternoon, Mahmood.
Can you apply AI to an external device beside the computer? If yes, what are the requirements?
Can you repeat that? Where do you want to apply AI?
AI for an external device, like let's say external device, like phone, drone, like that.
Yes, for that we have IoT services, wherein devices are synced with AI algorithms.
What are the requirements for applying that AI?
It depends on objective for which you are creating that particular application. Like, let me give you an example. If your devices are sensors to know people are entering into the conference room, or people are happily entering into the conference room, or people are sadly entering into the conference room. So it depends on with what objective you would want to create an AI application to interact with these sensors. All of them can be customized and used with IoT cognitive services.
So do you need like a processor for doing this stuff?
Yes, certainly.
Certainly.
One of the classic example is your self-driving cars. They're using AI. Your Alexa, it's a device, right? It's using AI.
Yeah, it's have like a processing unit inside.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Hassan?
Yes. Am I right when I say that AI and robots are so detailed that we need humans in the future because we are more simpler and we think, in a general way?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Can you repeat that once again, please?
Am I right when I say that AI and robots are so detailed that we need humans in the future because we are more simpler and we think in a more general way?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Thank you.
If you guys are interested in the topic of robotics and what robots will be in the future, there is a new pop-up session that we will announce this week. Stay tuned for it. It will discuss exactly that topic. So stay tuned and always follow us on our social media platforms. We will discuss this topic in details. We have a question from Adham.
Hello. So you implied during your talk that AI shouldn't cause a problem for employability of developers. But me as a developer, I'm still concerned that it might affect employability, especially like recently there's many no-code solutions on the rise. For example, you speak, you tell it like, I want a program that does such and such, or an algorithm that does such and such, and just automatically generates that for you. So that for me is a scary thing. Like I don't want AI to like get into that field. So what do you suggest?
So I think what happens is, yes, you are right. There are a lot of no-code platforms these days. But you also need to understand that if you learn those no-code platforms and try to build something out of the box with the help of your proficiency and experience, probably you would be valued more in the industry. So I would recommend you not to restrict your thought process, not to be scared with it, but then how best you can utilize and optimize your performance by utilizing it, which will benefit the organization which you are working for, should be your focus.
But it still hurts to like see like maybe something that a few years back I spent time and effort to try to learn, and it was tough at the time. But then now you can see like beginners, or like not beginners, but someone who just started, and then he finds out that there's some new technologies that makes these like everything is much easier for them, lower entry to lower barrier to entry. So I don't know
I
to be
understand,
honest.
Adam. That is just
Yeah.
change in the industry, and we need to equip. My
Mhm.
first program I wrote was on a notepad for a COBOL programming language.
Oh,
And I then wrote
veteran.
a Java 1.1 program, which was my first program which I learned, and a C compiler, a Pro C compiler. And
Mhm.
today, you know what's the situation. That doesn't mean that we should always stay back there.
Yeah.
Things are changing. We need to learn and explore more to increase our efficiency. Try to make and optimize. See, your employer will like you if you are giving them optimal performance. They are not concerned about what you are using, right? So once
Mhm.
you are optimally performing, irrespective of platform, you are always in the progressive path.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I completely agree with Dr. Ahmed's advice. Change will never stop. There will never be a time where change is not happening. It happens
Yeah.
across all sectors, all platforms, all devices, all. And if you think about it, when our parents started driving cars, how was that back then, and how it is today, and how it will be in the future? It does not require the same amount of skills, and I'm sure the amount of frustrations that they feel of how easy it is for us to drive cars versus how hard it was for them to learn to drive. But the thing is, if you don't adapt to change, then you are stuck in a place, and
You're gonna be
you
left
become
out.
exactly. So the sooner you adapt, the sooner you become relevant, and more important value that you will add. So thank you for asking that question and sharing your
Perfect.
frustration, which is, I'm sure, something everyone shares here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we have another question, I think, from Hassan. Is it a question or this is your hand from before?
I was muted on my headphones, but I have a question about AI in schools and in different fields, in education. Do you think that AI will, they will find a new way of teaching, new system, because our system that we use today is 150 years old, I believe, or something. Do you think that we will find a new way or something new to introduce for schools, which will make it easier for us as students to learn and easier for teachers to teach and explain to the future generations?
Yes, Hassan, that's absolutely right. We have developed a lot of systems for schools and colleges where experience matters. So, this pandemic has taught everybody to use Zoom or Google Meet or Teams for that matter. But then it is very stagnant. How can we create experience? See, ultimately, a teacher is expert in their subject, but to create an experience so that a student gets interested or inclined towards listening the teacher is very important. So we have created platforms which are live, and there are around more than 500,000 students on that platform where the experience is created so that teacher is responsible or taught upskilled to create a lucrative animated content which he or she has never done in past, and student is happy to understand things by their teachers with their efficiency and within the school. So we will have to create an experience. Like, in the industry, people talk about customer experience. Here, with the pandemic, now we will have to think in the education in the industry about the student experience, about the learning experience, than talking about learning courses, learning curriculum. There we need to provide learning experience within different schools and colleges, and that's what is important.
But if you look at any movie about robotics and AIs in any field, you know that something will go wrong at a certain point. It always happens. So do we have a certain way to try to prevent that from happening? Because
Yes.
some people some people, they have a fear of that happening, and especially, people who are looking into AI as, something to study in the future.
As I said, Hassan, we need to create and think on correct application of AI. AI can do anything. Now, application of AI is very important in every sector, and that has to be evaluated correctly.
There is a question in the chat. I think it's a follow-up on the conversation. Someone is asking how to avoid bad AI technology or how to create responsible AI. I think I'll let Dr. Ahmed answer that because he's the expert. But we always say that AI is just a tool. It's not good or bad. It's not evil. It's not it's not that magical kind of thing. It's us people who use that tool, and we can use it in a good way or a bad way. And I'll leave you answer better. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, so it's basically where you apply. And we can have, as I said in the earlier question also, we can have governance to control the bad or malpractices with the help of cyber algorithms, with the help of cyber security policies, with the help of different detection mechanisms within the cyber segments. So there are algorithms which will detect fake psychology of people who want to apply. So that's where we can work, and technically we can align it.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, I think we are good for today. You still have a chance to ask any last questions that you may have. Dr. Ahmed, do you want to take one more question? We have a question in the chat.
Yeah, so I think in the context of cyber physical systems, how AI works. Now, it completely depends on what your cyber physical system is created for. So AI will act as an integration to monitor the process, and that can further value to give the experience. We will see a short demo on this topic towards the end of this course. So I'll park it for now.